And start with pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for being here today. Due to the current federal and state emergency declarations and guidance to social distancing due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting of Montague School Board is being conducted in accordance with the Minnesota statutes, meetings by telephone or other electronic means, and in person. So, persons may monitor this meeting from a remote location going to the Montevideo Public School YouTube link. So you use the YouTube link if you want to televise it. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Access to the recording will be available on the district's website as soon as it's reasonably possible. Roll call. Kelly.
Here.
Travis.
Here.
Darren. Here. Maggie.
Here.
Joe.
Here.
Thank you. And student rep.
Here.
Oh, did I do?
I'm here too.
Sorry. Sorry, Andrew. Andrew.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Principal Gray.
I am here.
Thank you. Principal Huntley.
Here.
Principal Hickey.
Here.
Superintendent Heller.
Here.
Mita's not here, so.
Principal Sprunger is here as well.
Oh, I'm sorry, Joe. I was getting to you. Principal Sprung.
Here.
Thanks. Okay. Approval of agenda. They've added number 3.2, non-bargaining unit employment agreements, 2020-21, and renumber the original agenda items 3.2 and 3.3 to 3.3 and 3.4, respectively.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Thanks, Maggie. Do we have a second?
Kelly.
Kelly? Thank you. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none?
Aaron?
Oh, yeah.
Just a quick observation, and I don't know if it wants to be pulled or from the agenda, but do we know what the fall coaches, football and volleyball getting paid? It looks like the full here in the fall, if they don't have a season in the spring, are we okay with that? Are we going to make them pay money back, or do we pay half now and half when the season starts?
That's actually on the agenda, so it can be discussed at that point.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this is just, okay, my bad.
This is just a list, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. You okay with that, Joe?
Yep.
Okay. 1.4, special presentation. Any report on curriculum, instruction, student achievement? Scott Hickey and Principal Huntley and Vera Weber. Oh, Scott Hickey. Sorry. No, it's not. Okay. Sorry, I goofed that up. But Scott Hickey and Vera Weber. And then the technology integration specialist. Scott, you want to take that?
Vera will be doing almost the entire presentation. As my portion of testing, we did not test last spring, so there is no data to share this year. And in the report you received with last Thursday, you can there's a short, brief explanation of that. But Vera will be taking the entirety of the rest of the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Vera, do you want to take that?
Okay, I will do that. Let me pull up my presentation in just a moment.
Okay, thanks.
Are you able to see that okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, I tell you, this has been a year of great challenge, but I believe that it's made our district and our staff much stronger, believe it or not. Are you able to hear me okay?
No, you're cutting out a little bit.
Okay.
Just try talking a little slower maybe, because it was just kind of in and out, so.
Okay.
We'll wait a minute.
I can talk slower. You know, since Mr. Hickey isn't here, they told me I can take up all the time he usually takes. So,
Not that long.
you know, something that I discovered when I was doing this report last year was that our district staff development committee had goals, but we really didn't have a tool to measure whether we were meeting those goals or not. And so what we spent some time with this last fall, a year ago, with the district staff development committee, was I said, let's take some of the objectives from the district plan. So we took the 9 objectives from the district strategic plan and kind of narrowed it down to what are the objectives that really fit with work that this committee does. And so, as you can see on this slide, these are the 3 activities that were chosen, and it's opportunities to be innovative, activities that enhance personal growth and strong academic programs, and using the best technology and curriculum. And you'll also notice that the graphic visual that I'm using really shows how intertwined these activities are. What I discovered is I couldn't help but, if I was going to be talking about one of these activities, that I couldn't help but hit on the others as well. So we really do, these activities are very instrumental within our district. You know, and it made me think of something else. A few years ago, I just want to make sure, hit a button. I want to make sure you can still hear me.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So when I presented to this same board about 4 years ago, we talked about the SAMR model. And if you can remember, I'll just do a quick refresher, is that, you know, it's just a way, it's not really a way to measure, but it doesn't tell us like, oh, you're 50% of this level or 75% of that level. I'm going to stop for just a moment because there's some background noise coming through on my end, and I don't know if you can hear that or not. Is everyone's mics muted?
Can we mute this during the presentation?
Okay, well, it might just be because of the display board. So, okay, I'm sorry. So when we talk about substitution, substitution is where you're using technology for something that you could use non-technology for. I mean, it's really no learning advantage to using it. Like, for instance, reading a book or reading a book online. You know, it's just a direct substitution. Augmentation, though, offers a little bit of enhancement to learning. So I'm going to use that same example. Augmentation would mean that, well, my online book, I can increase the text size if I want to use it. You know, it's easier to read. I might be able to have the text read to me, or I can hold my finger on a word and it give me the definition of that word. So it offers a little bit of enhancement for the learning. But then we really move into areas that transform learning, and one of those is modification. So in this same example, when I'm talking about, using a book, you could say that modification really helps the students use those higher levels of learning. It isn't just a lower knowledge kind of learning. It's more they're applying concepts or they're being more creative. So if I were to use that same example again of reading a book, now instead of just reading a book, students are actually probably going out online and connecting with other people outside of their classroom who also are reading this book. And, so it's modifying, it's changing their perspective. It's giving them a different look outside of their classroom. And then when we look at redefinition is really where students are taking that learning and using it to solve some authentic problem. So if they're reading a book and maybe the book they've gained some perspective about social justice, now they're using that to create some learning to move out into their community and make changes. So that's how technology how we can label the different forms of technology integration. And the reason that I bring this forward is I really feel that our staff has really moved up this chart in the last 4 or 5 years. And again, that's because we've put an emphasis on that one-to-one technology and helping our teachers to be more innovative and allowing them to have that personal growth. And because of the technology and the innovation, they're creating stronger programs. So let's take a look at each one of those objectives a little more. One of them is opportunities to be innovative. And last year we were recipients of a Bush Foundation grant that allowed us to develop more career and high school opportunities at the Montevideo High School. And really what the purpose of that grant was to help us prepare students for life beyond high school. We know that 70% of the jobs outside of or in our community really don't need much more than a high school education. But by offering them training in high school, they can probably have, obtain higher level jobs or higher paying jobs. So that was kind of one of the tenets of the Bush Foundation grant, was just to help our high school students become more career ready. And because of that, we had a cohort of teachers, and I've just listed some of the subjects that they came from, who participated in training from KnowledgeWorks. And then we also, opportunities to be creative. When I talked about that our district, or that all these COVID-19 and distance learning and shelter in place, all of those challenges really helped our teachers to be more innovative. I think as stressful as it was for them, I believe that they grew leaps and bounds by really having to implement the knowledge that they had about technology. So COVID-19 and distance learning was rather beneficial in offering our teachers opportunities to be innovative. When we look at our next objective, activities that enhance personal growth and strong academic programs, our Minnesota River Valley Education District, this past year, with guidance from the superintendents, decided that they really wanted to do something that offered an extended amount of training, not just a one and done, like this is a topic for this year, but actually something that we could continually work on and grow. And so this past year, or this last fall, a year ago, they introduced social emotional learning. And right off the bat, we had a subcommittee from our staff development committee of social workers and teachers and staff in the district that said social emotional learning was really important to them. And so they developed a lot of activities in our district that focused on self-awareness. And self-awareness is one of those 5 areas of social emotional learning where we talk about knowing yourself and how you relate to others. And then just as another, I've offered it every year that I've been here, is called the Google Palooza, where teachers have an opportunity to do a self-study on a book that deals with technology. And this is probably the last year that I'm going to do it. But we had 5 staff members that completed all the sessions for their books. And of those 5, 3 were brand new. They'd never tried it before. And then the last area is to utilize the best technology and curriculum. And so all of our students in grades 1 through 12 are assigned a Chromebook for use within and outside of our classroom walls. And this past year, we introduced a new reading curriculum from National Geographic. When we talk about teachers and our, opportunities to be innovative, developing strong academic programs and utilizing the best technology, I just wanted to bring in a slide. This is from our Bright Bites over the last year, the last years that we've had it. But again, this past year, we had a 36-point increase in the teacher's use of the 4 C's. And that teacher use of the 4 C's is really the instructional part. How are teachers really using technology in their instruction? And again, we see an increase in that. The next few slides just offer the 4 big staff development pieces that we have every year. Last year, we had a motivational speaker come in, Dr. Sindra Kamphoff. She was the author of the book Beyond Grit, and she's also a motivational speaker. In the afternoons, we worked on our PLCs. Our K through 6 had more training on this new reading series from National Geographic. And our cohort of teachers that are part of that innovative school design had some training from KnowledgeWorks. Ironically enough, the staff development committee decided that this coming year, this past fall, we were going to do something totally different. And unfortunately, we've had to put those plans on hold until next year. In October, we had a presentation from Willow Sweeney. She's out of the top 20 training she's out of St. Cloud. And she really talked about, again, social emotional learning, how our self-awareness, how we project our attitudes to others really impacts our workplace. And she was very entertaining, very educational. She was fun to listen to. And then in the afternoon, the whole staff was able to take part in a movie. The Millennium Theater showed the movie called Paper Tigers. And Paper Tigers is about a high school that works in a school district or in an area that's lots of dysfunction in the homes, just lots of mental health issues, lots of stress on students. And the movie basically sent the message that we need to be more empathetic to the students that we have, and how are we relating to those students. So we had a discussion after that movie, and I think that was a very impactful piece of staff development. In January, like our typical melts, we had a lot of breakout sessions for technology. Again, we were able to have KnowledgeWorks come in and work with our cohort of teachers. And our staff also, they offered lots of opportunities for more social emotional learning, growth, understanding of what social emotional learning is. And then due to our shelter in place and distance learning, our April 9th, which should have been a common in-service day with our MERVED people, ended up falling on our shoulders because we're all across our MERVED, we're all in different places, but our teachers participated in everything was virtual. We started out with a watch party where we watched the TED Ed video of Rita Pearson, who talks about every child deserves a champion. And we probably had 50 to 75 people participate online with us in a Google Meet, and then had a short discussion. In the afternoon or after that, teachers were able to just use some of their free choice. There were 5 different areas, and within each of those 5 areas, there were numerous other opportunities within each one that they could pick and choose an area that they wanted to learn more about. And then they just had to complete each one of these areas. And they also had time to do some planning with their teams as well, and just do some planning for the end of the year. So, like I said, it was a year full of challenges, but it was also a very successful year, despite some of the obstacles that we had in place. Even with these stressful learning situations, I believe our staff prevailed. They really came out of it on top. I have to say that I think the years of preparation and our support, with technology really helped to give them the tools that they needed to be successful through all of the distance learning last year and what we're encountering now this new year. So often I would get calls from a teacher saying, "Oh, I know you showed us this," or "I know this was something I've seen you do." And so nothing was out of the realm of possibilities. They knew what the technology in our district could do. And I just want to give a shout out to Scott Ripley because of his hard work and his persistence, 100% of our families had access to internet. And that was something unheard of in a lot of places. And I also want to talk about the fact that our teachers in our district were able to continually provide new content and new learning and move on ahead with their learning for the last quarter of the year. They maybe didn't finish all of it, but they at least could keep pursuing new content and new learning, whereas other districts that I know of, they were just sending out lots of paper and pencil review activities, just keeping students busy. So like Mr. Hickey said, because of the shelter in place, there was no testing occurred last spring. We have nothing to report at this time, but if you do have any questions, feel free to contact Scott Hickey. So for a while there, I thought I'd lost everybody.
We muted our screen. We muted ourselves because that was the feedback problem.
Oh, wonderful. Great. I will stop. Do you have any questions? Comments?
Is there any, since we couldn't test that, is there anything about that? Do we have to put that up or? No.
Say that one more time.
We didn't do any testing, so do we have to modify our plan to account for that or anything?
I can talk about that real quick. No, there was a waiver granted by the federal government that Minnesota took advantage of. It's still undetermined, considering that MCA scores and NWEA scores are used for a lot of our goal settings for things such as world's best workforce, achievement integration, and other things. I have not received any information, although I've asked how we are to proceed with going over our goals, but have not gotten a response yet. I don't know if they know the answer to that. So, but as far as, it's kind of, I hate to say, as far as data goes, it's kind of a lost year because we weren't able to take it. I don't know any other ramifications because of that, but it is something that the entire state of Minnesota did that discontinued the MCA testing for the state.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report, Vera. That's good work.
Thanks, Vera. Thank you.
Thanks. It was, like I said, our district faced lots of challenges, but our teachers really rose to the occasion. I think years of training and having the tools really help them be successful during a somewhat stressful time, very stressful time for many of them.
1.5, approval of consent agenda. Oh, no, technology update. Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
No.
Good. Okay, just going to update you on where we are as far as technology is concerned in the district. Generally, each fall I come and give this update. And of course, given the situation we find ourselves in, there's quite a bit to update you on, I guess. Quite a bit of information I can share with you. Vera talked a little bit about our one-to-one program, and we expanded that due to COVID in the spring. We kind of had to make the decision to quickly send home devices with all of our kids grades 1 through 12. Normally, we only have sent them home with grades 6 through 12. We are a one-to-one school, grades 1 through 12, but grades 1 through 5, we keep the devices in the building. Generally don't see a need to send those home at night, but of course with COVID in the spring, we had to make a quick decision to send those home. In grades 4 and 5, and then at Ramsey, we sent them home if the family requested it, basically if they didn't have another device to use. What we found at Ramsey in the spring is that didn't work that well to have kids at home on different devices. Some were using our devices, some were using their own device. And it made it difficult for the teacher to really guarantee the kind of experience the kid would have because it maybe looked different than what the teacher would have expected it to look like or what they had directions for. So we made the decision over the summer to just send the devices home with every kid at Ramsey. So we knew they would be using our device and could guarantee the same experience for everybody. And so this fall now we have devices home with every student grades 1 through 12. And what that's done is it's basically doubled the size of our one-to-one program as far as devices that are leaving our property each night. And so that's, required increasing efficiencies within the repair system, because devices, when they go home, that's generally when they break, is on the way getting home or on the way coming to school. So far this year, out of the 1,600 plus devices that we have home with students and staff, I was at 98 repairs so far today. We did have over 70 the first week of school, and so that was pretty crazy, but a lot of that was devices that hadn't been turned on over the summer, or they were broken in the spring and didn't report it. And so then when it came time for school to start, turned it on and found that they needed repair. But work through those. The model that I use is there's a link on the district homepage that says Chromebook repair. You click on that link and there's a short form to fill out that generates a trouble ticket. And then the librarians, the high school librarian and the middle school librarian will then contact the family. One of the questions on the form is, how can we contact you? What's your phone number? And they'll contact the family. They can talk them through a very basic repair. If it's something that could be repaired over the phone, maybe the student forgot their password or something like that. Otherwise, then they make contact with the school resource officer, who picks up the device, brings it to the middle school. Then I repair them myself. And then in the form, there's a way to indicate if the repair is completed, and then the SRO knows that, stops by the middle school, picks up the Chromebook and brings it back out to the family. And we're able to get through these repairs. We've done all of them. Like I said, we've had 98 so far. They've all been turned around within 24 hours, most of all of them in the same day. If I can't repair it the same day, then I send out a loaner to the student. But something that you might not know is that my repair area back here is actually a factory authorized service center, kind of like a Geek Squad or something you might find at Best Buy, except for we're not, I'm not generating a profit on it, but, our customers are the students then. And so because I'm a factory authorized service center, just like in any other business or industry, if you're factory authorized, you can get the parts significantly cheaper, and you can get the parts easily from the factory without having to go onto eBay or someplace like that to try to find these parts from somebody else. You can get them directly drop shipped to you. And we're not generating a profit on it, but what we're able to do, because we can get the parts cheaper, is then keep our insurance prices really low. And so we just, the savings just get passed directly on to ourselves. And we sell the insurance to the kids. The school sells the insurance. We don't buy the insurance from another company because we do the repairs ourselves. We know what the costs are going to be, basically. And so for a family to cover a Chromebook, and that includes anything that can happen to it, including mysteriously lost. We had a dog eat one last spring, and I really mean it. The dog ate it, really did eat the Chromebook. We can cover that, and it's only $30 a year for the family, $15 if it's free and reduced. And so, it's to cover a device, a mobile device for that many months for that little money is really low cost. And the reason we can do that is because of the factory authorized service center, and we can control the parts and labor costs then, of course. So the other big thing that happened this summer was the view boards, and you see one in front of you that I'm talking on right now. The district purchased 39 of these 75-inch ultra 4K super sharp picture displays. We had 39 teachers who signed up. They had the option. They saw a presentation last winter. Then they had the option of whether they wanted to have this technology in their classroom. We had 39 people who said yes, which was the exact number that we could afford to do. And they're all mobile on a cart, just like what you see in front of you. They look exactly the same. They have the webcam on top with the microphone. And teachers went through a 3-hour-long training session at the beginning of August that was done through the manufacturer and Vera and myself. And, some of the things that it does are just awesome, especially, I didn't know when I started this presentation to the faculty last February about getting these things, that this COVID thing was going to happen. But this device really shines in like a hybrid model that we find ourselves in right now, where some kids are at school and some kids are at home on certain days. The software built into it, which you can't see. I mean, you just see the display itself and how sharp it is and what a nice picture it has. But there's software then on the teacher's computer, and that's really what, enables them to do things like record their presentations directly to Google Drive and receive content and send content to any device. So kids, can send their screen to the viewboard, or they can see the viewboard screen on their Chromebook, that type of thing. Just some of the things that Vera talked about with, finding new ways to use technology to deliver better instruction and instruction anywhere that the student might be at, so they can have the same experience. And so these things have really shined on that. And I think the feedback's been really positive so far. Obviously, it's a huge change. A lot of these teachers who got these things have been using smart boards for the last 10 years plus. And, this is a very different device. So there'll be some growing pains on that. But, overall, like I said, the feedback's been really positive so far that I've heard. And then the last thing just to update you on is our referendum, technology referendum vote that's coming up in November. And we are on year 9 of the 10 years of the referendum money that was approved at $100 per pupil unit. So, we have about 1,400 students. So at $100 a pupil, it's about $140,000 that I have to spend each year. It's just shy of that. It's $138,600 actually. So to give you an idea where this money has been spent really quickly, year 1, it was on smart boards and projectors at the elementary. Year 2, all of the money was used for smart boards and projectors at the secondary level, grades 6 through 12. Year 3, we upgraded our switches and we installed fiber optic cable in between all of the switches in all of our buildings. So our network is entirely fiber optic, which is kind of rare for a school district, or a business in general anyway, in any case, to have complete fiber optic between our buildings. We have underground fiber optic between all of our buildings, and between all of the switches within all of our buildings. Fiber optic cable is the absolute cream of the crop when it comes to network design. Many times faster than copper cable. In fact, there is no theoretical limit to what it will be capable of doing. So you really future-proof yourself too when you put in fiber optic cable. But that's what we did in year 3, because we knew at some point in the near future, at that point, that we were going to need to be going 1-to-1. And in order to carry that traffic, we needed a lot better backbone than what we had. Year 4, then, we brought in our first Chromebooks and tablets. And of course, that wasn't 1-to-1 or anything, but we brought in a significant number of Chromebooks, and at the elementary is where we brought in the tablets. Year 5, we brought in more Chromebooks. Year 6, we brought in more Chromebooks. And year 7 was when we knew we were going to be really expanding the 1-to-1. And we were very close. We had needed one more year of buying another 300-400 Chromebooks. So it was in year 7 that we upgraded all of our access points to where we had an access point in every single classroom rather than having them in the hallways being shared between classrooms. So we moved the APs and expanded the number of APs from like 50 to 130. That's how many access points we have today, is 130. We have them in every single classroom throughout the entire district, and that includes the early childhood rooms. And then, of course, with that year, we also bought some more Chromebooks. And then in year 8, we brought more Chromebooks, and that's when we went fully 1-to-1, grades 1 through 12. And then this past year, year 9, we did the view boards. So as you can see from the list I gave you here, there's none of that money ever goes towards like salary, and none of it goes towards servers or like Microsoft Windows software or things that you need to have to keep the lights on. That comes from a separate technology budget. Every dollar that's been allocated through the technology referendum for these 9 years that I've been in charge of spending this money, every penny has gone towards improving technology in the classroom, directly to students in the classroom, either through Chromebooks or access points or smart boards and projectors and view boards and things like that. And so the big reason for keeping that separate is, should the voters decide that we don't want this technology referendum anymore, we can still keep the lights on and can still continue to provide like Microsoft Office for our office personnel, right? And still have a JMC server so parents can check their kids' grades, and we can still have a grade book for teachers to enter grades. But we won't have any of these things anymore. And I hope that is a very convincing argument to the public on why they should support the referendum. I think we've been really good stewards of the money. When they approved it, it was for educational technology, and that's what every cent has gotten spent on. And anyways, so, I'm just, as you can tell, I feel really strongly about that. I hope that people see the value in it. I certainly do. And it's not one of those things where they just gave us, people complain about government all the time that, it's never enough money. You give the money away and you never see where it ends up, or what do they ever spend it on, or that type of thing. It's really easy here to see exactly where the money went and what value we gained from it. So that's all I have. If there's any questions you have for me, I'd sure love to hear them.
I was just wondering, do the view boards replace the smart boards, or do they have a different role in the classroom?
You broke up on me there. Everybody should have their mics muted if you have a mic on your device there, because the view board mic will pick you up.
My question was, do the view boards replace the smart boards in the classroom, or do they serve a different role?
They do replace the functionality that was being used by, as far as the smart board, as far as an interactive piece of technology, a screen. The view board does a whole lot more than the smart board. The smart board's kind of a, it's called the smart board. It's kind of a dumb device. It's just, it's a big mouse pad, right? I mean, it was the best technology available 10 years ago when we first bought them, or 8 years ago. But things have evolved now into these digital displays because they can leverage the power of the cloud. The view boards have a computer inside them. Whereas a smart board, it really, there is nothing there other than a big touchpad. It's really what a smart board is. It's a big mouse pad. It allows you to interact with your computer from the front of the room, but it's a big mouse pad. It's a big touch device. The view board actually has its own brain. So yes, it is replacing the smart boards. However, we still have a significant number of our classrooms that still have smart boards, right? We have 100 plus classrooms and we got 40 view boards. So the rest of the classrooms still all have smart boards. And it's still a good device. It just doesn't do all the things that a view board does. And, 8 to 10 years from now, we'll be talking about some other device that does a whole lot more than a view board does. That's the way technology is. I often say when I look, you look behind me on this rack behind me, there's not a thing on there that was there 5 years ago, because that's just how it evolves.
Hey, Scott, two
Yeah.
questions. What's the life cycle projected to be for the view board?
The life cycle of view board is, I would expect it to last 10 years. They're 50,000 hour TVs. They're commercial displays, so it's not like a TV that you have at home. In a lot of different ways. One is lamp life. The glass is pretty much shatterproof glass. All those types of things make it more of a commercial device. But we have a bumper-to-bumper warranty on them, which includes advanced replacement, on-site shipping for 5 years. And that was the same that we had for the smart boards when we bought them. It's 5 years initial warranty.
Okay, and thanks for that rundown on how we've spent money for the last 9 years. I'm wondering, because that's part of what we're going to talk about a little later and what we're going to talk about for the next 3 months, hopefully very, very consistently. It'd be really good if we could create some sort of a infographic or a marketing tool that leverages what you just said in a very consistent manner, right? Because it would be very easy to use.
Concise and simple.
Concise and simple. Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, whatever. And you've got all the data. Just let me know if you need some help with marketing it or whatever, building it. But I think that'd be a really, really useful tool that we could have as a consistent tool for everyone to use and everyone to look at. And then you're our technical expert.
Yep. And I know we're meeting with Don Zimmerman on that next week, Dr. Heller, right?
This Thursday.
Or this Thursday, sorry. It's already next week. It's Monday, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, and this is one of the things obviously I have in my notes to share with her, because I'm assuming the same as you, Andrew, is that this is really what people want to see and hear, right? They want to know where their money went, so.
Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else?
No, thank you for the report.
Thank you, Andrew. Scott, sorry. Andrew. Thanks, Andrew. Good question. Okay, 1.5. Approval of consent agenda item.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
It has a bunch of personnel and employment, some reassignments.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
And Joe had some discussion.
No.
Not
No,
on this.
It's an action.
It's extracurricular later.
Yep.
So, anything else? Any further discussion?
You get a second?
I second.
Yeah, you said it.
Okay,
Sorry,
That's okay.
Okay.
All in favor? A roll call vote. Andrew.
Aye.
Maggie.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Darren. Aye. Joe.
Aye.
Thank you. I almost forgot you. Sorry about that, Joe. He passes. Funding and approvals.
That was part of that.
Is that was part of that? Okay.
And there were no gifts.
No donation or contribution requests. Superintendent's report. You're up, Dr. Heller.
Okay, so just a couple of things on the superintendent's report. The opening day enrollment was down about 20 students from last year. The two largest contributing factors were first on the difference between enrollment in the last year's junior class and this year's senior class. Reflects, as we often see in the senior year, the post-secondary enrollment options that do come into play a lot more at that point. And then also we did have, as people were dissatisfied with the distance learning, and there were a number of people that did open enroll into some neighboring districts. We also had a number of students that open enrolled over the summer out of the district and open enrolled back in or returned back to us before school started because they found things weren't any different elsewhere than they are here.
Dr. Heather, what was the split between, of that 20 students, roughly, between senior impact and distance learning impact?
I would say it was split about evenly.
Okay.
So, so overall, that's where our differences did come in. And then in the support materials, I do have that broken down so you can look at the difference in enrollment in each of the buildings from year to year as well. I saw that. So. Meet and confer dates were originally set for September 16th, January 20th, and May 12th. The September 16th meet and confer meeting was canceled because the MEA leadership had no issues to bring up. Everything had been covered in our previous monthly meeting. So the next meeting for meet and confer will be the 20th of January. MSBA and MREA fall area meetings. These can be accessed on their respective websites. MREA is having virtual meetings on September 16th, 17th, 22nd, and 23rd at a variety of times. MSBA's fall advocacy tour for our area is on September 16th at 7 p.m. and that's a virtual meeting as well. And those can be accessed on their website, or if you're having trouble with that, contact me and I'll get you registered if you need to get registered for it.
But registration is required.
They prefer that, yes.
Okay.
And there is no charge. World's Best Workforce and Achievement Integration Public Hearing is a virtual hearing, and that will be on October 5th at 5 p.m.
Okay.
And that is all I have.
Committee reports, 1.81. Staff development. I was not at staff development meeting.
Dr. Weber is going to pick that up.
Thank you.
See her though.
Unless she forgot and left.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Back?
All right.
Okay. Travis, were you at that meeting?
No.
Okay. Student rep, Villarreal? Did I say that right?
Close. Villarreal.
Villarreal. Okay.
First, welcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
What's your first name?
Audra.
Thank you.
Okay, good way. So I had shared a Google Doc that probably look at it later. So a couple things. First thing, assignment deadlines for the first week of school. Some classes have their deadline set at 3 p.m. or at the end of the typical school day. This is a good thing because it'll motivate students to get their work done instead of collecting MIs and putting their assignments off until later. but some assignments have taken students longer than a regular class period of 50 minutes to get done. And they also worry about other assignments for other classes that they need to finish to meet the 3 o'clock deadlines. Some students have told me that they follow the school schedule and watch the assigned video for the day and then do the assignment. If they finish before the next hour, then they go ahead with the next hour, but if they don't, then they save it for their study hall or at the end of the day. But a thing that plays into that is a couple students have told me that they have jobs typically after school at like 3:45 or 4 o'clock, or even sports until 5:30. But if an assignment takes longer than 50 minutes, a regular class period to complete, students might not have time to finish it before 3 o'clock, especially if they're in school that day instead of online. Students also might not be able to finish an assignment right after school if they have jobs or practices to go to. My suggestion to possibly resolve this issue is for teachers to only take assignments due at 3 p.m. To make assignments due at 3 p.m. if they can be completed within a 50-minute class period. If an assignment takes longer than that, the deadline should be 11:59 p.m. or even 8 a.m. the next day. Which I don't know how much of an issue this is. I don't know how much students already have MIs or not.
Mr. Dickey could probably comment for us.
Yeah.
Scott, would you say that there are a lot of high school students with MIs already this first year, or first week, excuse me?
We did have a rather large number with the first week of distance learning. We attribute a lot of that because some of our students were not in school to get set up for classes, and especially the students that didn't come to open house, we saw that with. We've seen that start to turn around now, and especially with the opening of our learning zone, that we are starting to be able to address that with individual students.
Okay.
Another thing was school lunch. This was the first thing the kids brought up when I asked them how their first day was. I was on Snapchat and then I wasn't in school. A kid had sent me a picture of the lunch and it was just a cup of rice and a couple of chicken nuggets and just a fruit cup. And some kids had mentioned that their lunch was really cold. And I pick up lunches here at the middle school for my siblings, and those lunches are great. Like, I like them. I even picked one up for myself. And is there like anything, like I'm sure because of the trays and the spoons, they probably can't get as much in those to go, but is there anything to better the lunches? Is it, some of the kids said like, thought the lunches were bad before, but I didn't like the lunch.
Actually, there shouldn't be a difference in serving size.
Okay.
This is just to get the kids excited for when hot lunches come back.
So,
Well,
we'll look into that.
Duly
There
noted,
shouldn't be
yeah.
a difference in serving size, though.
You could look into that, Dr. Eller.
I know who can find out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but no, that's a point that we will look into. Thank you.
And then I had talked to some seniors and then senior traditions. Some seniors had asked if there was anything to include more traditional senior activities into the school year. This I feel is somewhat taken on the student council. I'm also in student council, but with homecoming being postponed to the spring to be included with football, I think they're looking more like daybreak and like the blue chair picture, like how Deb had them send in their picture and they made a collage. But I had just thought about like the senior cribs, how we can't leave the building. If like the seniors could maybe do something in the school or something.
Probably worth.
Mr. Hickey?
We're looking at how to do a lot of different things right now for our seniors and all our students as much as we can with the guidelines that are in place. There are some things, though, that given our current situation and what we are and what we are not able to do, like, for example, we're trying to do some things like for the blue chairs, we tried to do something to have the seniors have an opportunity to have a picture taken. And the idea being that once we return to regular learning, that they will be able to have their moment in a full school assembly to do that. But obviously, we're not able to do that at this time. Same thing with homecoming. And we are looking into some alternative things that we haven't done before for our seniors and our other students to be able to have some, given the constraints we have, there are some other things we can do, just like we did with our seniors last year at the end of the school year. So it's a work in progress at this point, and we are just in the first day of the third week of school.
Okay, we'll count on you to keep that in check for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep us accountable to that.
Keep us in the loop.
That was everything.
Great, thank you.
Very nicely prepared report, thank you.
Very good job.
Principal Hickey.
Well, we got off to a good start. Obviously, the first week of school was not what we had planned with distance learning, but we had our first week last week with hybrid learning. So we got students back into the building, and I hate to say kind of got them trained into what our new reality is and how things will function within school, and that's a growing process. We've had, I thought it was a very good first week, and even today was a very good first day of the third week of school. There are been little bumps along the way. Anytime you start school a little bit differently and you put things in place, you realize that we used to do things a certain way because there was a reason that we did them. It's always been that way for a particular reason. And as we're making changes, things come up, as they will repeatedly throughout the year, where we're like, oh yeah, that's something else we have to take into consideration. So I think everything's working pretty well. Lunches are, for example, are up and running, and we've streamlined that process a little bit with the curveball we were thrown last week with from the federal government, telling us that meals are indeed free, which we had to get some things in place to make that flow a little bit better. So today was the first day of that, and it seemed to work relatively good. Students seem to be happy to be back. The only thing I will say is that the energy in the building is down. But that's to be expected considering that we're at roughly 25% capacity per day. The classes I've been in, there've been high quality lessons going on. The kids have been involved. I've seen a lot of teachers doing synchronous learning, a lot of teachers doing asynchronous learning. So there's a lot of different types of learning going on in the building. And I'm very proud of what I'm seeing so far out of our staff and our students.
Awesome.
Did you say that all meals are free?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Till funding runs out, right, or something like that?
December 31st right now is the waiver from the Department of Agriculture, I believe. Correct, Dr. Heller?
Did you say December 30? Yeah.
Mr. Hickey,
Yes, Alondra.
you said the energy was down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe since like every Friday last year, you guys would play music throughout the hallway through the passing hour. You guys could do it like every day, because I know last year like some kids thought, oh, we're playing music again, but like it actually like it was kids would like, oh, whose playlist is this? Like some kids actually liked it.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So like to get back that routine, normal stuff.
Wouldn't that be fun to have where you have to guess whose teacher's playlist it is?
That's what we typically do on Fridays. The only problem is right now we have some technological constraints. So when we do play music right now, it's an individual sitting there pressing play and pause. So it's not quite as easy as that. I have spoken with the people that put in our new bell system, or at least the controller, to be able to link that. That is an idea that we've had, but right now we do have some technology constraints on how to make that a reality with our aging PA system, or I shouldn't even say aging, our old PA system, and some of the infrastructure we have electronically throughout the building. There are some things we might be able to do, and we are looking through those ideas. But yeah, we're looking at what we can do to try and increase that energy.
Good.
How do you feel now that we're actually in the first couple weeks, how do you feel the breakdown of, I don't know how to say it, like which students go which days is? You feel like it's pretty equal day to day, Monday through Thursday at the high school?
Mathematically, it is pretty equal. What's interesting is, and this is the problem with the high school, in any high school that's across anywhere, is that we'll have some classes, for example, that'll be at near capacity. They'll be at about the 13 with the social distance, but then the kids will go to another class and there's like 3 or 4. But we can't balance them anymore with that, like by classes, because if we balance them for first hour, they're going to be unbalanced elsewhere throughout the day. But as far as the number of students coming in, we have between 100 and 110 students coming in every day. So that number is very consistent.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott. Principal Huntley.
Good evening.
How are you?
I am doing well. Trying to find my buttons here. So, okay. Very good. Just wanted to kind of give you an overview on the first couple weeks, and never in my wildest dreams would I have dreamt of the school year starting with distance learning for 4 days, hybrid for 4, and now we're in week 3. So, just the challenge that presents not only to schools, but also to parents in the community and things like that. So I think it's very important that we realize the challenges that are faced all the way around. And it's not just teachers, it's not just students, it's parents, it's the whole community. And it's just very important for us to come together as one and understand that this is going to be challenging. And it's not over. And the first 2 weeks were challenging with distance learning and hybrid. I wish we could say we're in hybrid for the next 2 weeks and we go to in-person, we're off and running. But we know that that's not going to be the case. And we have to understand that this challenge is going to be here for a while. And I just want to recognize that, because sometimes I think we can forget that pretty quickly. So I just want to share that. Overall, the first 2 weeks have gone as best as they could. Teachers are putting things together for students and managing classrooms with some kids are online and some kids in person. And like Ripley was saying about the view boards, those in action are super cool to see. So I would encourage any board member to come on in and see those in action, because it's really a neat device. And for the hybrid learning especially, it really does do a nice job. Also with parents, they've been exceptional in communicating with us. All the challenges that go into distance learning or learning virtually with internet issues at home or whatever that may be. Parents have been wonderful getting a hold of us, and we make note of that so teachers are aware that student A and B will not be available periods 2 and 3 because we're having internet issues. Just having that communication is super important. So thank you to the parents and all that as well. The students have been great. They've been super respectful and following the procedures and our rules that we have set in place. They've done an excellent job. Masks have been a non-issue all the way around. And students are social distancing as best as they can. And I'm just very fortunate to have such a wonderful team to work with all the way around in this district, whether it be for the administrators, to teachers, to our technology. I think we're in a situation where our technology in our district is at a level that allows us to do what we're currently doing in an effective manner. And I don't think that's everywhere that you go. So super fortunate to be a part of this district and how we are moving forward in these challenging times. So I'm just excited to keep on going. It's great to see the kids in the building and keep moving forward as we continue our journey together. So
Thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay. Any questions for John? Okay. We'll move on to 2.1. Is Adam around?
Hey, Adam, you're up.
All right, good evening.
Oh, is the Alan?
Yeah.
I'm going to share my screen here.
Is it possible to take the ribbon off the bottom or not really? I don't know.
I think if the mouse moves.
Yeah, if you move the mouse, I think
Okay.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
No.
No.
No?
We can see your Adam Spray icon.
Okay. All right, here we go.
There you go.
Okay, so the 2020 payable 2021 levy was supposed to be due out on September 8th, last Tuesday. Department of Ed didn't get it out till about 6 o'clock at night, and they had a bunch of issues with it. Hoping to get everything cleared out by Friday, which they didn't. And then today at about 3 o'clock, they sent out another copy, which still has some glitches in it. So the initial levy amounts that came out today are here, and you can see that overall there's a 0.88% decrease overall in the levy. The general fund's down about 1.91. Community services up again, and that's due to the disabled care levy. And we're in about the second year of that, and it should level off after this year. That's disabled care at our junior Thunderhawks. And then debt services down, mainly due to the reduction in our debt. So as it continues to go down, and when we refunded some of our bonds, we get some savings there. So as that decreases, it brings the overall levy down. The one big adjustment that they're having problems with pulling into the levy at MDE is with the ANI, Achievement and Integration. And with the figures that I pulled off of last year's and with the actual numbers, with those in, should be overall, it's a 1.61% increase. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So it doesn't move it very much, but it is about a $70,000 adjustment that's out there right now that shouldn't be. But at the September 28th meeting, we'll propose to certify the maximum. Then it doesn't set it into a dollar amount. It just allows us to go what the final numbers are in December. So overall, there's no real big changes. You'll see the differences here. Unemployment is kind of one of those areas that we could see an increase in. We did increase it $3,000 just to put a placeholder in there. But otherwise, prior year adjustments were up, or the total number of adjustments, so negative amount, was increased for this year, mainly due to changes on the levy from prior years that come into play. But otherwise, overall, that's what our levy will look like, and that's about what we expected on that. Any questions?
And we have that in September, right?
Yep. 28th, we will do the preliminary
End of it in
certification.
December?
Yep, and then at the December board meeting, we do the final certification. And that's also when we have our truth and taxation hearing.
Right, okay. That everybody shows up to.
Right.
We're busy.
Okay, 2.2, MSHS, Minnesota State High School League. Do you want to?
Okay, so I'll start this and then I will let Mr. Gray jump in also with his expertise on it, but the $3,850 membership fee is what is a little bit of an increase over what we typically saw. And that was the amount that we received and that was paid in tonight's bills. And so that was our regular cost.
$38.50.
The $38.50 was our regular cost that we typically see. Because of the pandemic and the changes that occurred last spring, the loss of revenue both last spring and then also the loss of revenue as they're projecting going through the fall, they're looking at a sizable loss of income. And so they went through and their finance committee recommended a additional charge to pick up about $3 million of the $7 or $8 million that was lost. And so for our school district, that would be 2 additional payments of $3,500 each, or $7,000 total for our district.
It triples the fee.
Right, it about triples the fee.
That's a lot of money. No,
Well,
it's not a lot of money when you think of the
What are we gonna
opportunity.
do,
it
Doc? We're not
provides
gonna pay
kids.
it?
I mean,
So we're over,
$10,000.
that's my problem, is it feels like we're over a barrel, right?
Yeah.
that's the only problem with it.
Well, there's several problems. I bet you Dr. Heller made a couple of them.
So the division or the breakdown of it is supposed to be enrollment based. And so it is a little bit. If you look at, they put together a chart and up with the largest schools, their 2 payments come to a total of $11,000 for the largest schools in the state.
Yep.
There are 2 payments.
Just hang on.
Total $11,000?
There are 2 payments, is a total of 11.
Ours total $7,000.
Okay, I'm getting there.
Just hang around for a minute, that's what it is.
Okay, so if you come down to the next level, that drops down to, well, we're about the 3rd one down, Bob?
Yes, there's what is it, 5 different levels. It's 5,500 twice, so 11,000 for the largest schools. The next group is 4,500 or 9,000 for the year. We're in the 3rd group, which is 3,500 twice for 7,000. Then it goes to 2,500, 1,500, and 500. And then for homeschools of 1 to 4, it's 0.
So now, from that perspective, it's enrollment based because you take the largest schools and they pay $11,000. However, if it was going to be truly enrollment based, you would take $3.1 million and you would divide it by 150,000 students. And right now, if you divide it out on a per student basis, the smallest school in the largest group of schools pays $8.90 a student more to cover these 2 payments. Montevideo pays about $23.90 to cover our students for those 2 payments.
Per student.
Per student. If you drop down to a school with about 150 students in high school, they're paying $35 a student. So it's really regressive. If you go all the way up to the largest school,
It's a little over $1 a student.
Yeah.
I'm doing the math on my phone.
Yeah.
It's a little over $1.
so it's really not a truly enrollment-based fee structure. And there was, I believe, a couple of years ago, one proposed to them that would have been more equitable across the board, but
So what happens if we tell them no?
That's what I'm wondering, what's our option?
well, then you're not a member of the state high school league. I think though there's a lot of schools across the state, there's a lot of schools within our area that are very upset over the way in which it was put forward. And it seems to be an attitude of, they want their sports program, so whatever we charge, they're gonna pay.
Minneapolis schools, it's $1.15 a student.
There's schools that will opt out over this as a matter of principle.
If they told us, they told us our re-enrollment or our membership fee was gonna be $38.50. And we paid it.
Yep.
And now they're saying, no, just kidding, it's
Now there's gonna be two additional payments coming up in
If
June.
we paid our membership fee, why are we not members?
So,
Again, we don't have a lot of options, but we have some, we don't need to act on it immediately, right?
no, it's not an action item, it's a discussion item.
Discussion.
I read through it, they trimmed their positions from 23.5 to 19.5.
They what?
Maybe they need to trim a little further
Well,
considering
yeah.
we're not having.
They what? Sorry.
They trimmed their full-time equivalent headcounts from 23.5 to 19.5. It's still, if my math is correct, and I'm just using the information they gave me.
That's their.
They cut $840,000. Okay, so.
To put that in perspective a little bit, about 11 years ago, we cut 10% of our budget. And that included eliminating 10% of our full-time equivalency staff members.
Yep.
We had at that time 300 employees, and the next year we had 30 less. They weren't replaced. They were just eliminated. Those entire positions were, and that cut across everything. That's what we had to do because we were faced with a fiscal crisis.
Yep.
That's what school districts all over the state have to do when they're faced with fiscal crises. And there are a lot of schools that are being hit very hard by this pandemic as far as their funding goes.
Yep.
And we're going to be seeing this, depending upon how long it proceeds, we're going to be seeing more and more financial impact on our own district based on this.
And, you know, the dollar amount, to say we're gonna pay $7,000 or $11,000 for our kids to be able to participate in sports. Like, our kids are worth that. Our kids are worth that. But $23 per student,
It's just.
even students who aren't enrolled in sports, is malarkey. I mean, what do we charge them, $60 to be in sports?
We're not gonna recoup it.
I mean, it's more than what we're charging them to be in sports in the first
Sports
place.
and activities.
It's ridiculous.
The idea that it's not nowhere near equitable.
No, that's the problem.
That's the problem. You're right, it's not too much to pay for our kids, it's the inequitable.
The total dollar amount
balance.
isn't as absurd as the inequity in it. And then when you look at how many kids in our district are participating in sports? And then if you just spread that dollar amount over the kids who are participating,
It's a lot more than $23.
it's more than what we charge. It's more than what we even charge them to be in sports. That's where it's ridiculous.
No, the $7,000, even if you look at a $20 million budget, $7,000 is
the issue.
Not the issue.
a drop in the bucket. But that's not the point. The point is that it's not cutting fairly across everyone.
Do we know if there's a movement among school districts to pressure that to be more equitable of
I think there's a lot of people starting to talk. We just got this.
Yeah,
Right.
there's an awful lot of traffic
There will
out
be
of the
some
web.
discussion.
If they charge $2 or $3 per pupil unit across the board, across the state, that would be one thing.
So,
It will be interesting to see how, if it's changed.
but
It's,
we will be, as the conversations continue to go, we will be participating in those conversations and bringing things back as to what people are talking about doing, what options might be there, and so forth.
Okay.
keep us informed.
Hey, Mr. Gray, anything you would like to add?
No, I think you've all covered it just fine.
You take that back to your next meeting, Bob, okay?
Action item.
Tomorrow morning at 10:45.
Right.
Action items 3.1, approve lane changes. That was sent out to us in our packet.
So moved, Chair.
Thank you.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Andrew.
Aye.
Maggie.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Darren. Aye.
Joe.
Joe.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Sorry, I keep forgetting you.
Excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Just to the left there. There you go.
Non-bargaining unit employment agreements, 2020, 2021. You want to explain that?
Yep, these are the non-bargaining groups. These are groups they're groups of employees, but they aren't organized under any type of union leadership. And so they're not groups that the board's negotiating committee meets with and negotiates. But what we do is that I go through and establish, based on the parameters that the negotiating committee is setting with the other groups, the basic salary types of increases, the insurance increase, the 403B matching, those types of things. And so those were set up that be comparable with what we're seeing across the groups that be negotiated with.
I move that we approve the employment agreements for
Thank you, Maggie.
2021.
Anybody want a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. And then we'll do a roll call vote. Andrew.
Aye.
Maggie.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Darren. Aye. It passes unanimously. 3.3, approve fall and full year extracurricular assignments. This is what you were talking about, Joe?
Yeah, I just had a few people just ask, paying the full salary for the coaching staff that might only have 12 practices. Does that make sense for the district? Of course, I advised them to talk to Mr. Gray and Dr. Heller about it. We know how that goes. So I was just bringing up the question of is if there was no spring football or volleyball and they had the 10 or 12 practices at the district, are we going to ask for their money back? Are we just going to pay them fully, or would it be better to pay them half now and half if they did have a season?
Yeah, Joe, I had my question was not specifically coaches, but it was all the folks that we pay for a monthly thing. for music and many things that may or may not happen. So.
Right.
I guess I would like to, my recommendation or action, I don't know if we need action, but my recommendation is to push it back a month and see what we can come up with to make this fair and equitable for both the employees and the district.
Are you hoping that we table this?
Yeah, we've never done that before.
I know, that's why I'm asking. Let's hear it, Andrew.
I'll move the
I
table
think we
this.
have one other thing.
I'll move the table this to October.
Second.
Is that okay to do there?
And Joe, is there anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, that was it.
Okay.
I
Thanks,
think that
Joe.
those were great observations, guys, that, you know, need to know what we're gonna do if they're not going on.
Okay.
And we will come back, we will look at coming back with a breakdown both on the athletic activity ones as well as on the 4-year ones as to,
That's fine.
because there are some of those that probably should go through as is. some that
Yeah,
maybe-
there it is. Again, let's make it right.
So we'll look at each, we will look at each individually.
Can you vote on
No, the table.
I move the table, I mean, I don't know.
So we don't have to vote on
it? Don't vote on it,
No.
you can just table it.
it. Table, it, no.
As long as you have a motion and a second to table.
The chair just declare a table.
Clear table. So,
We're not used to doing this table.
no, I know. There was one other time you tabled it, you know,
I know, I can't
on
remember.
his
who else.
contract. His contract.
I
It was
didn't do
tabled.
that.
Huh?
I didn't do that. It wasn't at a meeting, was it?
Yeah. But,
It was far between.
huh?
It was
Few
far
and far
between.
between. I think we did it years and years ago when I was sitting over there, maybe 10 years ago.
It doesn't happen often.
Different room perspective.
No.
Right.
Okay. I just know we put your contract off, you know. So,
Annual reports.
are we okay to adjourn?
No, it's 3.4.
Oh, God. Annual report on curriculum, instruction, and student achievement. Anyone want to make a motion?
I think we have to listen to their report.
We did it.
Oh, that is
Yeah,
what
we
we
did.
did.
That's what we did.
Thank you.
You can do it again if you want.
No, I'm good.
You want to listen to it
I'm good.
again?
It's really
It'll be
good.
up on the.
I'd like to move that we approve the report.
I think Mira will stay with you.
Second.
Thank you. We'll do a roll call vote. Andrew.
Aye.
Maggie.
Aye.
Kelly.
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Darren. Aye. Is that it?
You got it.
Thank you.
We're back on the 28th.
Back on adjourning.
I'll move to adjourn.
Adjourn, you move things. Anyone want a second?
Second.
Hearing no, any further discussion? Hearing none. We are adjourned.